Welcome to the ADCC portion of Verbal Tap this week. Raph, I feel like we watched it together virtually through. You had a director. Your stuff looked profesh over at the Grappling Hour. I called in and I was screened. I was like, whoa, hey, CBS, I'm his friend. Let me in. I felt like the bouncer had was like, can I see some ID? It's like, look, my mic's plugged in. I came ready. So did get patched through, but only after I went through the screener. The crew was excellent. So compliments to you all. How did you get the band together?
Threatening.
Perfect.
I don't know, dude. The thing that makes me very excited about this process is I knew that in order for it to work, it couldn't be like the Grappling Hour where it's just me producing and switching the cameras and doing all of that. Because when you're watching an ADCC for 8 hours, I'm not sure you really want to see me look at my manual and go, wait, how do I slide route? I think if I control R. Hey, everybody, Buchecha did really well. Control R. No, and shift. Fuck. Okay. So I just said, let me concentrate on being a host. And I got to tell you, Kevin, even then, I still don't even get to be a full host because shit happens. And there's
You're
stuff
also
that
a
happens
guest
behind the
promoter
scenes.
and like hey.
Well, things were happening. And it's just, I don't want to get into the details of everything that was going on. But there were a couple times when I was looking at the camera and I'd just go, if only you guys knew what was going on here. And but that's the beauty of live TV. So I was very excited. But yes, the crew that I had, Octavio, our director, Dane Grace, my co-commentator for the majority of the show, and then of course Terry Swift Grace, his wife, 2 for the price of 1, can't beat them. And the reason why I picked these 3 people,
She rocked,
is the following. I need people who aren't just good at what they do, but who can read my face. For example, there were times when I would turn to Dane and he would go, you need to go eat, don't you? And I'm like, mm-hmm. And then there are times where Octavio, having been a training partner of mine for over, 6 years or so, is like, yeah, fool, I think you need to use the restroom now. And I was like, I do. Thank you, Octavio. And Terry, this is the most important one, who could give a look at me and be like, hey, Raph, we need to get a guest in here. And I'm like, oh, you're talking to my producer heart. Thank you. So it was great. And she was screening people. And this is the hardest part for me, is that when I was trying to prep people who were guesting on the show, I said, hey, you're talking to me up until Friday. Saturday, it's going to be someone who has their shit together and is helping me. And they're like, oh, yeah. Okay, no problem. I'll remember that. And then when they would go, hey, Raph, fuck you. And she goes, nah. Mm-mm. Oh, hell no. And they go, oh, it's Terry. Oh, hi, Terry.
This is Star-Lord here. I'll stop screaming.
But yes, we were very fortunate. And there was a lot to talk about from this year's ADCC. We did so for about a good 16 hours. And you would assume that we exhausted all of those topics. No, we didn't. There's still plenty we talked about, because as a producer in my brain, I definitely was making mental notes on, I'm going to save that one for Verbal Tap. I'm going to save that one for Kevin. That's a good one.
On takes?
It's a little bit on takes.
Or just future-esque ideas? I don't.
Again, I'll say this till I'm in my grave. When we talk about the amazing production that this show had, it is pretty hilarious because WWE Raw is about to display their new set that they're taking from city to city.
Okay.
It's basically like a half pipe that's essentially a giant LD screen that they can do whatever the fuck they want to. It's massive. It's amazing. And I was like, yeah, we're still a new sport, but we're trying.
You're so close to having one of those electric boards.
Exactly. So that's on our side. However, the one thing I said was, they said they spent over $1 million on this. I would like to say the money might have been better spent getting us a hologram of Haleo Gracie welcoming us to the show. I think that would have been helpful. I think that would have been a good use of our money.
happily would have even donated. I tried to find the Twitch to give you the monies, but I wasn't watching on Twitch.
I know.
So I just gave you the thumbs up.
I mean, it's almost money, but isn't that what they do on Twitch? Isn't that the whole point of Twitch is you just go on there and you go, I'm playing a video game and I'm going into Legends of Zelda's house. Give me money. And then people go, here's $20. And I go, how the fuck did they just give them $20 for doing nothing?
This is America. Capitalism wins. I will say, cast-wise, the backdrop was fucking awesome. And, cast-wise, you could have replaced a few of the hosts with some better people, but otherwise, it was pretty good.
I have to say, my favorite note was there was an extended period of time where I had to be off camera for a little bit, and I gave a note, and it was almost a case of emergency note. But I looked at Terry, and she just goes, do you want me to call Kevin? I go, call Kevin. He'll know what to do. Like, you were my emergency contact. Like, I was in the process of dying, and I go, the show must go on. Kevin must host out.
Yeah, by minute 9, I was like, I am really running out of fashion commentary. And coincidentally, the funniest fucking part to me is when he came out in blue. Duarte, he came out. They finally embraced it. The fucking absolute. It was like, what? Hold on. All right.
So for me and you, I was very pleased. If you guys have not seen Kevin's segments, they are phenomenal. And, there's a lot of work that we do on this show where Kevin usually sets up the ball for me. But it was fantastic for me to sit there. And I'm not going to lie, when you do it for a long period of time and you can't go anywhere and you're in hour 4, and then Kevin comes in his true bitchy self and is just embracing a character, I go, I could watch this all day, but Kevin knows to get in and out in 5 minutes, and I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to enjoy my 5 minutes of whatever this is.
Day 1 had a lot of juice. Day 2 was fun. And then you and I always, your cast just getting to listen to us rip on each other back and forth, and me complain about the fights being terrible.
Wait, but the thing is, you are expressing an important emotion that I think you have to be able to say. Like, you had the choice to watch Sunday Night Football, and you had the chance to watch the event that happens once every 2 years, and you go, oh, I think I'm gonna just go, guys. Is that cool? Don't get me wrong, your ADCC's fun, but some Sunday night fundies, bye.
Oh my God, I could not watch grappling for the rest of the day. They took their sweet time Sunday, and you could tell they were like, shit, we had the exact opposite problem we had yesterday. We're fucking way over time.
The better part is always thinking, what are you doing during these intermissions?
What are you doing? No, it's a fucking, we want an answer. What are you doing? You know what they were doing in China? Dancing. Giving us a display of local modern culture. This is LA. You couldn't find a street performer? Like, what? So let's get into this, because I want to talk about that. The production was fine. It was like a normal flow grappling event with Kenny Florian. And that's not a bad trick, but it's not a new trick either. It's something EBI has done quite frequently. In fact, you could say that this whole production was rather EBI-esque. They had Shunji on the telecast. He's pretty fun in terms of hearing his brain pick apart some jiu-jitsu. Loved John Evans and loved-ish Josh Palmer. But no one was talking to people backstage. There was no, in between. There was some stuff getting released by the fighters for Flow Grab. I just was expecting it to be all right, we're talking to Nigel Rodriguez. You just won a close one. What was going through your mind? Why the strategy to keep standing and pushing? And, no one asked him many questions. Nothing like that. So enjoyed the kind of up front, but I found myself, especially as I was going from fight to fight, not wanting to hear the prescribed or the record stuff, or so I would just tune back to the grappling hour with some friends that were watching the fights as well, which is kind of the fun part. 'Cause you
They
were
did
taking
do
comments.
us a couple solids. Number one solid was charging everybody 145 for the year. Because when I saw that, I go, uh-oh, we're getting people watching us instead. Because if I'm somebody who's a casual grappling fan and goes, yes, I would love to hear more about this ADCC, tell me $145, you can go fuck yourself. No, thank you. So we had a moment with that where I just kind of laughed. And at the same point, you're talking about the production value. I think the hardest thing that they're trying to figure out is how to make everything go into a vertical, aka how do you get your backstage interviews to be in a similar program without losing the audience that you would want to come to your Instagram page for news. And so they're in a bind, I think, in terms of combining all of these things, because it would be nice to get some of those backstage moments. I thought that's the whole reason you go to Kenny.
And
They turned Kenny into your Bob Costas, and I thought at some point they were going to be like, oh, hey, and speaking of Bob Costas, I thought that was actually the one place you should have put Keenan because he would have been away from the audience.
oh man, that's funny.
But normally you're
he
supposed to
did look.
transition.
They did have him in that Bob Costas spot. I actually dug where he was. I didn't know if that was. I didn't. It was just like, okay, why Kenny Florian? I'm curious. Maybe I thought Josh Palmer like does this specifically.
Well, you want a face that you recognize, so I think I get it.
Okay.
And he's been on TV a lot, and he's been really working hard at being that person. I
Dig
don't know
it,
that
just-
he cares.
Okay, so I'm picking it apart because I have some questions. Okay, then Friday night when you don't have, let's say that. Okay, I buy into that strategy. K-Flow,
Okay.
and K-Flow's good. He's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. He kind of knows what's going on and who's going on. He was like, "That's 2 footlock victories." Like he wanted to say, like that's his
Oh, no. I didn't know
18th
that.
punch, and I was just like, I don't know if you want to hit that. It's like he wins are hard to come by. That is his second, both via submission, even rarer heel hooks. And it was just like, why he kind of gave him like a stat, and it's like, well, it's not an impressive stat. It's just comparatively, it's like they scored 1 goal. It's fine. I
Okay.
dug, and there was to me a lot of opportunity on Friday night when they did the ballot drop.
Mm-hmm.
Where the F? Why aren't you talking to the fighters? Like, this is the best time. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be emotional. They're going to say something. They just saw who they're fighting. Now it's real. Like, you don't want to talk to them in this moment. Like, pass a mic around.
Well,
my
there
guy.
were a couple of my peers who were credentialed who were going up to the athletes. But the real magic,
Was that on a different television screen?
well, the real magic of that is, and I'm told this is the way it went. I think it's the way it went. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on this part. But I think the reaction of the fighters turning around and looking at the brackets was real. I think they were not told. They might have been, but the reaction shots of those athletes are what we should have been picking up. And they should have immediately walked off and have been interviewed right then and right there. However, instead, there was a meet and greet that they were supposed to do. And I had a viewer who responded and said, hey, Raf, by the way, the meet and greet did happen, because I had video where I showed how many of those little cards they printed out that were supposed to be for autographs that were just left there. And they had all these seats. It looked like a Jiu-Jitsu Comic-Con that nobody came to. And this viewer, this audience member was saying, like, Raph, they actually did a meet and greet somewhere else. And I go, then why set this up? Like, why waste all that time and all these little cards to do that there? In fact, the athletes that I ran into were very cordial and saying, like, yeah, sure, I'll take a photo with you. But nobody sat down in one of those chairs. I think I was the only person to sit down and give out an autograph. And I wasn't invited. So that tells you who really put to use that sort of setup. But I made sure that I was telling people, I was like, I really feel, because some of my friends were saying, are you going to go up and interview these people? I was like, why? What are you going to ask them? Are you excited? Do you think you're going to win? I was like, these interviews are really weird. But if I had the opportunity to get them right as they were walking out and they're looking up at those things, or you get their real-time reactions with the camera close up on them, uh, then I think that's a way more telling piece of television. But I don't think they were actually set up to do close-ups on the athletes in that way, because they just kind of did the pan and scan when they go, here they are, Miss America finalists.
I did dig the announcing when they were walking out to drums. I was in on that. I was like, now we're talking.
We found the Meta Boris drummers, and
I
guess
don't
what?
care.
They're probably going to get paid now.
Still love it. Probably. This production, I dug it. I dug the, I felt like it was a little Survivor-ish. Like it just had that, and the tribe has voted. Marcus Buchecha. Please join the tribal council. There was
that.
A good amount of, and I thought, the broadcasters did a good job. I guess I'm just kind of being critical of, I thought there was going to be a little bit more dynamicism to everything than just the standard, but fun ADCC in terms of fights.
Well, can we also discuss one thing before we get to the finish of this Friday night event that they had? There is one thing that we should maybe mention. When you call it a bracket reveal, it said it was supposed to be a weigh-in. That didn't happen there. I think they had that beforehand. So instead of a weigh-in, it just became welcome to the bracket reveal, even though on the poster it said weigh-in. But welcome to the bracket reveal. And I thought, is this supposed to be like a gender reveal or something? Like what we can do maybe in the future is get a cake, and all of these fighters get a piece of cake that reveals who their opponents are.
Yeah, they just made weight, so they're fine.
Because every time you say a reveal, I think like, oh, they're going to shoot a balloon in the sky and they're going to find out if they're having a son or daughter. Yay, okay. So that's what I kept thinking when they said bracket reveal. And I'm like, oh, it's a bracket. It's a girl.
And they did the girls, they did the guys. They didn't necessarily give us a schedule, but they did kind of passively talk about why some of the fights got the matchup. But it wasn't anything like, it was mostly just like, here's why he got the ranking. It wasn't bad. It was more NCAA March Madness format, which is, cool. But we want more of the President Obama stuff. Like, can we get somebody with some jokes?
God, if you are not used to being on television, a big trick that they use in TV is graphics. So a good thing to do is maybe go, instead of just at a desk, maybe in the studio somewhere else, or at a setup where you overlook, like the UFC does, where they have a high top view of the rest of the event center, because you could put a television there that helps you assist, where they can cut back and forth between the two, because there needs to be an amped up personality that keeps you there. That was not a very keep your eyes glued to the screen sort of a moment. It is one, and again, this is all constructive criticism. This is the stuff that we would tell our clients or the people that we've coached to national titles in speech. So this is really important stuff, because we're talking about, you're spending all of this money. So you really want to keep people interested. So don't tell me you don't want feedback at this. So yes, one way you can do is to amplify it through graphics, but it's more than just being an explanation of why it's happening. Maybe add a third person or somebody who can help to bring that out, because it felt a little flat.
Which I'm going to hit comma as we head to the fights.
Yes, please.
Fights did not fall flat. There was a ton of coverage and a ton of noteworthy moments. There was also a ton of draws. The big guys did not disappoint in that category, as per usual. There were some fun submissions, mostly by Gordon or Gary or the Death Squad. A lot of Craig Jones. Craig seems to walk his way into certain people, and then a Marcelo Garcia black belt, and he sweated out. Legacy-wise, though, new guard kind of sweeping through pretty fantastically, and somehow the Absolute and Lachlan Giles, I think, steal the show that Gordon Ryan would be pissed if he heard.
I think actually Gordon is aware of it. I would tell you this. what was happening that day when everybody talks about all the breaks that they were taking and how long it felt like the event was dragging on just in terms of the matches being mostly going to time limits and overtimes. I mean, that's pretty normal for ADCC. So what better way to speed things up than saying, who wants to die with Buchecha? Young Keith Kokorin, you've won the lottery. Because, first of all, surprise. But second of all, I thought that was a great moment for Keith because how often do you get a chance to roll with Buchecha if you're an up-and-coming competitor? And one of the things I did tell Keith was, I was like, you know what that means is that they have faith in you. So when Kevin talks about this new guard, there's a whole bunch of young killers who are going to be able to be eligible for this next round. But that absolute 1,000,000% saved Sunday. And I think part of it was by design to create some of these obtuse matchups because, Gary Tonin and Edward Najmi. Edward Najmi is an amazing black belt, but Gary walks right through him. And then when you have that, then your next compelling argument is going to be, well, now it's got to be Gary versus Gordon. And let's see how that goes. And Tex Johnson, let's see if he's mad because he was allowed to eat after a couple days of not eating. And Lachlan Giles, we had a lot of people tell us that because somebody put it and they phrased it this way. They said, who are you most disappointed in today? And I go, I don't like that question for a number of reasons. It's like, what are we talking about? Who disappointed you the most? I don't know. Who are you? My dad? So I started thinking about it and I go,
Joey Gladstone from Full House.
Got him.
He turned
and I told
into an
people,
asshole.
I said, man, the real thing that I think you could say is a disappointment, but not a person, is more we didn't get to see Lachlan Giles get to do his thing. And that was an expression that a lot of people seem to echo. I know Dane said it. I know a lot of our fans said it. And lo and behold, I think Lachlan Giles isn't just the Mighty Mouse of this. Lachlan Giles was the poster child of ADCC redemption. That man went up against beasts and sold 1 million more DVDs, instructionals, and he's a very nice human being. So I couldn't be happier for him. But yes, the first day it was pretty good. There was not really anything completely different about the setup. You saw the screens on the stage, and then it just kind of looked like a regular ADCC. So that was interesting. But the matchups themselves were a mixture of, ADCC points being utilized within maybe just the last few seconds of a number of different rounds. Did you have any, though, in the prelims, though, that you looked at that you were like, damn, that match was great?
There were... okay, prelim-wise, absolutely. I mean, Gary's matches were great. JT, I forget when he ended up... his first match was super tough. I should have a bracket in front of me because the first rounds had some explosive new people. Everybody's energy is so high that I think everybody comes hot and ready to go. And damn it if Gordon doesn't just look always amazing. I did spot him. I think, and Nikki had a good first win, but the person who impressed me bar none the most in prelims is also the same person that impressed me the most throughout the tournament, Kennedy Marcial.
Yeah.
Who submits his first opponent. He's down on points. He's pulling guard. He's doing some jiu-jitsu. He wins. It's great.
On the brink of getting out of the tournament within the very beginnings of the tournament.
And then completely turned his day around. Yep. I fucking loved it. Yep. Keith Krikorian fought a good fight. The kid's good.
The eventual winner of the tournament.
He looks bigger. Does Keith look bigger? I got to start maybe talking a little less shit to Keith Krikorian. He's got a scotch larger than I remember.
Well, Augusto Mendez, I don't know how many people had him winning the whole bracket, but I could tell you when I saw Keith pulled him first, I said, that's a tough first round. That was a man who shut down a lot of Eddie Cummings' game. And it's not like Keith and Eddie Cummings are exactly the same at all, but this is a man who's savvy enough to create problems for people. And I think that's what people tune in for ADCC for. So if there's one thing that we can truly compliment about this entire process, I think it's the bracketing. I think the bracketing gave fans what they wanted. And even if they were horrified at some of them, like, oh, I don't want to see that. For the most part, they were really good. The only bracket thing I would like to fix in the future is if Gary Tonin and JT Torres is another goddamn semifinal, stop it. Call it, make it the final. I'm tired of seeing that as the semifinal.
The semifinals, yeah, the semifinals do have a way of working themselves into weird situations. This one wasn't that much beneficial, though, either.
Yeah.
Because we're always the winners. I just fucking love watching JT and Gary fight. It's funny to see someone that Gary, for whatever reason, just can't submit. Wagner Roca, though, did his slapping thing. Definitely hit the ass out of JT Torres in the finals. That's always fun.
Yeah, although JT Torres is he's all the better for it. He's one of those guys who his jiu-jitsu game is equipped to neutralize a lot of that. He doesn't let it get to his head. He doesn't, he's focused. He's one of the most focused people I've ever seen. And that's just on top of his already a great, amazing jiu-jitsu prowess. But definitely great to see him accomplish that. And of course, I mean, I thought one of the biggest, surprises and upsets was watching the chain of reaction that happened in the women's division of seeing just when you think oh, they made that look easy, then 2 seconds later you go, oh, mate, that was even easier. Bianca Basilio making terrible work of Fionn Davies' arm was rough.
I did see the replay of this. I went back and found it after I was called out on air and I responded negatively.
And did you see it?
Ouch. I mean, fuck. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she's like a meow and she'll just be fine, but that would put me down for a few.
Well, I'm sorry. I might be mixing them up at this point. Fionn Davies was going for a leg attack. I'm sorry. There was a lot of jiu-jitsu this weekend. There was something I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Wait.
It was Bia Mesquita's arm. There we go.
It was Bia Mesquita's. Fionn Davies got submitted via the toe crank of the fucking century.
Yes.
They called it a toe hold. I was like, all right. She wasn't holding shit.
Yes.
That was a toe crank and it looked painful.
That was just that chain of reactions where I was like, oh shit. She took out Bia. That's insane. Let's go, Fionn Davies. And then all of a sudden you get in there and you see Bianca Basilio go, no, me. And then you see Fionn Davies. It's an insane chain to see. And one that's compelling to watch. And hopefully one that we start to talk about more women's divisions with different weight classes. I had so many people ask me as if I'm the arbiter of any of this to be like, Raph, is there a women's division for the absolute category? And I go, no, there's really not to my knowledge. I'm sorry. And they go, there should be one. And I go, I have nothing to do with this. I can't even get in. So I'm definitely not the person to talk to on this one.
I would also like to offer a rule change. Vinny Magalhaes was injured and could not compete. Lucas Barbosa wins bronze by default. The person, if that happens, which it does happen from time to time, and we've talked about this before, but this is an easy rule, and I think everybody will agree, the person they last beat gets their spot. Doesn't that make sense? Okay, so who did Vinny beat in the quarters? Well, whoever that was, your lucky fucking day. And if they don't want it, okay, who did Gordon Ryan defeat in quarters? You want it? Cool, you're back in for the third spot.
Gavin McFuckface, come back in.
Who gives a shit? It's always funny to me when they don't have a match. It's like you have people that are there. Somebody wants to win bronze. Come up with a fair way that if somebody gets injured, no problem. Spot filled by whoever they beat in quarters. It's easy.
They should have the chairs from The Voice where they can turn around and be like, psst, 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 steal. I elect to put Keith Kikorian in the 99 plus division. Why would you ever do that? Because we're going to do it in the absolute. Why not now? I feel that's one thing that you mentioned, but let's talk about some of these injuries that happen outside of the mats, though.
Oh, okay.
Did you see some of these guys, and you're talking about injuries that happen to people? We're talking about the referees going, all right, let's see it happen, when the action was clearly going off of the mats. And then they said, you know what we should do? We should just reset you guys where you landed.
That was
when
weird.
We let it go on for like 20 minutes, a little too long. Like, that was the kind of leeway that some people could only wish for. So it's very strange. And I really wish that we would utilize a little bit more of this technology that we have where we can film and photograph how people end when they're off the mats and maybe look at it, because the athletes will argue and not use logic when they do it. They'll be like, yeah, I had my hand around his throat already. So I had the rear naked choke. It was set in. Mm-hmm. You go, no, you didn't. You didn't even have their back control yet. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. They will lie to you like kids coming home and blaming their brother when they broke something, and the parents want to punish one of you. Except these refs are not parents, and they just go, do whatever you want, kids.
This is damn. I hate when you just make really good points, because all I was going to do was go back to Bianca Basillo winning via toe hold, but they let this is going to start a weird precedent next year, because people are going to respond to the bullshit they were letting happen in the last seconds of people being in their way. It's like sometimes they were turning into half guard because it was that, or they tackle Aunt Edna, or well, it was probably an MMA fighter, but before they accidentally tackle someone cage side. It's just bizarre that the way they were doing that. It's like as soon as they're out of bounds, reset them. Don't let them get a position, because that's what happened in Gabby Garcia's, and she won via Kimura. But now everybody's caught up except for the super fight and the absolute bracket.
Well, let's be clear though. Did I have an immense amount of respect for one Nikki Rodriguez, who, while outside of the bounds, if one might say, jumped back into bounds and was trying to rear naked choke Muhammad Ali? That's so egregious that I go, yeah, I'll allow that. That's fine. Because at the very least, he's selling it compellingly. Like, yeah, look at me. I just did that. And I go, I mean, that's pretty funny. On the judging criteria, funny, this falls very high. So, Kamach. Good work. When we are talking about the finals, just to kind of talk about the production the second day, because we were told the second day was going to be epic, I will give you this constructive feedback, which is, I think, something that's good for the athletes. So this is a benefit. I still don't think it was the most amazing. I think it was better than what we've had before. I think it's a step in the right direction. And I think the most beneficial thing of the whole experience for athletes is that they could look at that experience, and even though it's not there yet, they could feel what could be. And I think that's a great thing to inspire the next set of athletes, because it actually made them feel like they were walking out. And half of them didn't even know how to walk out when the lights dimmed. Some of them were like, oh, fuck, am I supposed to dance? Is this pride? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And some embraced it. And you could really tell the difference between the two. So that's kind of how I was in the process of looking at these things and saying, like, all right, here's how this works. Here's how this works. But I could see the athletes. Like, Keenan put on a little bit later and said, like, this is amazing. And I think just the fact that they got a little bit of love and attention and could visualize themselves there was the extra ingredient that people haven't had. So to that respect, I feel it's great. But like I said, WWE just debuted a new set that like makes us look like chumps.
I was also waiting for like a panel of 5. Like as the last matches were wrapping up, it's like, let's go around. John Evans, what's impressed you the most? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I thought we were just going to straight up steal what they do on Sunday.
I won't put him fully out there, but I will say that Josh Palmer, for the 8 hours I was a commentator, did tell me that he had an idea or two that he wanted to try and throw their way. And I don't want to give away his full idea. I might already be telling you this, but I think that he was trying to push that way. So it's coming. But here's why I want to say thank you to all of those idiots who put me outside. You were mentioning the difference between our show and their show. And what I realized midway through was we're limited because we can't show the footage. We can't show you any of it. We did a very, very successful job of not showing you a single frame of Flow Grappling.
And shooting down everyone that asked, which was every 8th post. Hey, where are the fights? And you were like, you can purchase them. Or...
Don't get me
Nope.
wrong, dogs. Like, some of those people are doing the Lord's work because sometimes you just can't have it.
No, I get it.
Saying,
I'm just saying you also weren't like spiteful. You're
us
like, you have to
in
go buy
that
it.
process. And more importantly, don't yell at me because I'm not giving it to you. I'm doing the best I can to get you right there without showing you it. So the hardest part of the whole situation, though, is that what they were limited by, and I think this is the future, because we had a live stream. Brandon and Catherine had a live stream. I thought that Ben Saunders told me that he might have one. There were some people who are doing this fan experience, which is kind of why Kevin is giving you these notes and saying, like, hey, it'd be good if you did a few more things other than just the coverage there. Because the whole reason I realized we could do what we do is, they're limited by not making an interactive experience. And that's what other sports are doing. If they make you part of the show, I think that's when you start to transcend things. So these idiots who say that I don't know what I'm talking about are, maybe they have the same idea in mind, but at the very least, like, I'm just observant to see what other sports are doing and being like, it's not uncommon for them to go back on TNT, like you're saying, and then mention a Shaq, like, hey, Shaq, what'd you think of tonight's game? Oh, man, it was so great. Shaq Daddy Diesel loved at least 3 different slam dunks. Let's go to that first slam dunk. And that's what makes it appealing. Like, that's how you best integrate your athletes and individuals who are color commentators to make it an inclusive experience. Not,
They heard we need to get Shaq. So.
Well, hey, you know what, though? I would watch Shaq be like, man, I got to say, got a lot of love for that Gordon Ryan. He really gets it.
First of all, he's obviously affordable. He's still doing those general commercials. Second, I think he does MMA now, so whatever. They might do it. Everyone's going to love it. Next year, ADCC, breaking news from Verbal Tap, they'll probably have Shaq on. So,
but you know what, though? At the very least, we'll have evidence to show that we were the ones to come up with the idea the day after. So timestamp that shit, bitches.
If they get Shaq just to spite us, I will be so impressed. that would be the whole.
If they just like doing the opposite of what I say, I'm just gonna start saying all the shit that I want to happen in life as the opposite. I'd be like, man, it'd be hateful if you guys gave me 15 minutes at 1 a.m. on ESPN to talk grappling. I hate you guys.
I hope you don't get Greg Oden on next time. Wait, I think I missed the bit. Andre Galvão wins his 6th. I know, because he had to use his other hand, and it only took him a brief second to be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hold on. This is the joke I had, and I couldn't quite land it. I was trying to shoehorn it in, and then by the time I remembered, I go, oh, we're off air. Is it look like his hat that he went to go get? Which, by the way, if you win that many, do whatever the fuck you want, man. I'm not making fun of you, but I just want to talk about the look of the hat. The look of the hat was one where about 25 years ago, when they made the movie Malcolm X, they just had a plethora of not quite correct hats. So they just go, oh, we got these hats with just the letter X on it, but they're like a little shifted to the left. What should we do with them? They go, save them for a few years. It'll come back in one of these days, I promise you.
Trust us. A venture capitalist, like, found my time. Well, number 6, people are already making the he's the GOAT argument. He might be of ADCC rules, that's for sure. Looked yoked. Absolute bracket, which leads to, I keep using the word parlays wrong, I think, which leads to an unbelievable opportunity. Gordon Ryan, who famously challenged Andre Galvão like a $30,000, $50,000 match.
Oh,
to
it got
charity.
up to $1 million, dude.
Okay, a large amount of money of a match, and couldn't get it. Well, he was told to get it, he must earn it. So my hope is that he pulls the exact same card that Kron Gracie pulled with Gary Tonin and retires. So Gordon's like, who am I going to face? I was like, my son. Cobrinha did it. It's like, your son's 2. Yeah, he's not bad. So I don't know what's going to happen in that arena, but Andre Galvão wins. Gordon Ryan defeats Marcus Buchecha by passivity, which is such a funny. Lachlan Giles won by non-passivity, by heel hook-sivity.
Yeah, I mean, Lachlan Giles was the hero we needed at the right time, right place. The Gordon Ryan and Buchecha match, I said it during the show, and I'll say it again. I think we are bound to see it again. I think we're waiting on maybe somebody to make it happen. But I could tell once we were in overtime, I said, we're going to have to see this again. If nothing happened in the main portion of the match, there's no way you will hear any side, be it Buchecha's side or Gordon's side, that's going to go, yeah, I think that really showed what's what.
Yeah.
So I think we're just going to milk till we get to the second one. Whether we have to wait till ADCC 2021 to see it, possibly. But, I think the money in that fight is good, and it's probably not going to happen at the IBJJF. I think Gordon's been pretty vocal about his disapproval of the way that they do their things. So, yeah, I get that part. I would maybe, and this is just me, I would maybe condition the fact that we talked about Andre Galvão, and they were already saying, like, here's your super fight in 2021. I was hoping that Galvão would have just said, okay, I retire. And then we would have had that right then and there. And we would have known for sure and been like, oh, I guess, do we have a super fight? What do we do next year? I don't know.
Way more fun to torture the Gordies.
But instead, when you have people already now building and saying, here comes your super fight, I've had some friends in confidence say, I think he's going to suddenly come up with an injury as we get closer to it. And I don't know how reliable that is. I can't tell you any of those things. I mean, Andre Galvão is obviously a very good competitor. And obviously Gordon did what he did. But that's a long time for somebody who's retired. If I tell you I'm competition retired and then you say, hey, Raph, but will you still compete in 2 years? Yeah, sure, I'll do one match there. No big deal. Okay, cool. Will you compete again in another 2 years after that? Golf's looking good, man. I'm tired. Who wants to fight me? This new up-and-comer who's basically beating all the main guys and can't stop talking shit. Ooh, I should have taken that money. Yikes.
That'll be Andre Galvão's 30 for 30. We'll finally get an answer. Or he'll just beat him up in 2021. That'd be fun.
Or, yeah, I mean, if he just shows up and does it right then and there, then you have maybe one of the most anticipated matches of all time. So maybe we need to get excited for 2021 because maybe that's when we finally break through the glass ceiling. Yes, that's the one. The glass ceiling of it all, people. Maybe that's the year that things really come to fruition. So maybe we were looking at it. But I can just tell you, by Andre Galvão not saying, hey, I'm retiring or anything like that, we are building the anticipation to a match that Gordon for sure wants. And maybe Galvão wants it too. Maybe now he's like, okay, now you have earned it. But instead, you have to go through Lucas Barbosa and Josh Hinger in front of me. And then does a thing and then disappears in a smoke of air. I don't know. But if it happens and there's no complications, I, like the rest of you, I'm going to be very happy to see that match. So let's hope.
Indeed. Maybe that by then Gordon Ryan will be going shirtless like a man at ADCC. Only time will tell. Can't wait. Love 2019. Ready to do some no-gi. Already was. And I think that'll do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good kombucha. Bye.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is Please note, the new number is